Good morning, everyone. This is Charlotte, and we are Chatting in Cars. It's a podcast where I pick out random topics and drive to work whilst discussing them. It is 7:20 on a Friday, Freya's Day, if you are Nordic of any kind, or if you just have the heritage like me. Brilliant! I've got Irish Nordic. I'm being a Viking today. Kinda. I'm always a Viking, but, you know, that's a nice way of saying I nick things. But no, I wouldn't condone that. Anyway. This is one of several podcasts I do where I talk about random shit. So yes, there is a trigger warning at the start. I do swear. I'm not going to hold back. I don't care if I was raised a lady or not. I will swear. That's my right as a human being. And absolutely, you're right too, children. There are some sensitive topics today. Well, sensitive topics in general. Humour is my topic for today. And absolutely, you need to have a sense of humour as a teacher. Sorry, I'm just waving someone on because they nearly ran me over. You will hear beeping, you will hear my indicator as it is now. You will hear me swearing at drivers because basically I am not editing this at all. I don't think I should. Fuck it. That and I'm incredibly lazy. So, you know. Yeah, a sense of humour. You've got to have a sense of humour as a teacher. I am a teacher, I'm a primary school teacher, and the weirdest shit happens in a classroom, I got to admit. And to be honest, it does help you deal with other things like the traumas of life. If you don't have a sense of humour, you'll just curl up in a ball and die. Maybe. Or something to that effect. Come on, dude, move. My sense of humour is, you know, it's a bit maniacal at times because I was raised on, you know, a combination of, at this point, Jane Austen, which is sarcastic humour at the time, and Monty Python, and Blackadder, also sarcastic humour. I love him. Ron Atkinson makes me laugh. Ever since I watched him as a kid with Mr. Bean, and he's a fucking genius as Mr. Bean. I don't know why everyone says it's a joke. I'm looking at what he's doing as Mr. Bean, the original. Like the park bench scene, that is one of my favourites. Because he comes out and he's tucked everything away that makes a sandwich and a cup of tea in a coat, and he's like using his credit card as like a butter knife and stuff like that. I love that shit. I'm sitting there going, this guy is better than MacGyver. And I love MacGyver, so yeah, bring on the power of the mullet. It's the only acceptable mullet. Yeah, so growing up I had Ron Atkinson, I had all the British ones. My parents were into Only Fools and Horses. I wasn't really, because the guy in it, who's David Jason, who I love as an actor, as a person, but as a character in that, it reminded me too much of my arsehole granddad. So that's the only reason I couldn't get into that series. He was a bit too much like that, and it was just too close to home. Open All Hours, yeah, things like that. You know, the old school kind of Benny Hill. That was just rude. I'm just like, it's like, my dad's like, you haven't watched Benny Hill? I'm like, no, I don't want to. But Monty Python was one of the biggest ones because I love those guys. I've always loved those guys, like Meaning of Life, Brian, all the movies as well. Oh God, they were good. Anyway, you put them on a Saturday and you'd eat like your, you know, cheese and ham rolls and shit like that, and you just sit around watching these movies. I mean, we didn't have any money for anything else, so we just sat around watching movies on TV. It was great. But no, that kind of formed my sense of humour. So all the silliness of, you know, slapping people with giant fish and shit like that, it was brilliant. So you get, yeah, it's weird. So after that comes, you know, like stand-up comedians like Dylan Moran, Sean Connery. Oh Christ, what's his name? He's a Scots one. Billy Connolly. Oh, I love that guy. He's brilliant. Yeah, no, all the stand-up ones like that. The English and the Scottish. British, we should say, because it encompasses all of them. Maybe not the Irish, but they'll get pissy if you say that. It's like, we're not British. Fine, whatever. We're all interlinked cousins down the line somewhere, you know. Everyone's family is related to everyone else's fucking family. I know that a large chunk of my family migrated from Ireland to England to Wales to English to Ireland. We just kept bouncing around finding the work, so it doesn't matter. We're all intermarried with everything. So essentially, you might say you're Irish, but you might be English. You might be, you know, looking at your DNA, it stems from all over the fucking area. So I wouldn't go around claiming nationality that strongly. But yeah, it's great. I like my sense of humour. The current sense of humour I have, where I take like really messed up, fucked up topics as well, and I try and be silly with it, is my coping mechanism for trauma, basically, as well. Because I've gone through quite a bit of fucked up shit, you know, like miscarriages, abusive childhood, poverty, things like that. My response is, you know, to make it stupid. I mean, if you take the full weight of these topics on your shoulders without a sense of humor, you're going to crumble. I mean, you're only human. It's okay to do that. But if you crumble and you let it last and it ruins your fucking life because you're just sitting in this state of victim mentality and the world's against me and I can't do this, and you're going to, you know, your life's going to fuck up, basically. It might even end. I don't know. If you want to take it that depth where you become, you know, like suicidal or something like that, it's not good. You know, your life will literally end. The thing is to make a joke out of it. And I mean, people might look at you like, well, that's a really serious topic. And you go, well, no fucking shit, because I've been through it. So, so I make a joke of it to lighten the load, you know? It's a bit Frodo, help me lighten the load. But, you know, they look at you like the devil. It's like, I'm only joking because I've been through it, mate. It's like, I'm not really taking the piss out of, you know, rape survivors and stuff. I have been raped, you know. It's like, it's traumatic, yes, but we lighten the load for ourselves and for others who might have gone through it. They're doing the same fucking thing. But making a joke of it, I mean, and that seems to be the only acceptable way of really doing it for some, for most, really, is if you've been through it or if you can relate to it on a personal note. So if you make, like, people don't tend to have a problem with me doing gay jokes or things like that because I'm bi. Or, you know, like, vegetarian jokes, some shit like that, taking the piss out of vegans and stuff. They don't seem to mind that. Having a joke about miscarriage because you've been through it, and you know, my brother and I have weird jokes about babies and stuff. Somewhat very dark, you know. You go, oh, was that too far? It's like, I don't know. I mean, one of my favorite comedians is Anthony Jeselnik. He goes through some very dark stuff. And he goes through stages to see if you can handle the level of darkness he's going to take you to. I mean, you have some people just walk out. And I laugh my ass off because I'm like, this is life, man. It comments life. This is not just him picking on people. This is shit that he might have gone through himself, or the reality of what we're facing as people, as adults, or as children sometimes. So we can't just ignore it because it's not pleasant. So what do? We either bring it up as a serious topic, everybody gets fucking sad, or we bring it up as something to be discussed on a lighter note with humour. There are, of course, times and places for it. Probably not best to have, you know, sexual assault, you know, quips about humour, you know, humorous quips when you're around kids. I definitely wouldn't do that. What was I talking about yesterday with the kids? We were talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they were talking about Kentucky Fried Kids, and even I went, oh, no, I'm not down. It's a good one, because, yeah, no. And then they'll do things like having your mama jokes and stuff like that, and these are my year 6s at the most, they're 11, 12. And I know for sure some of the kids in that class have lost their mum and stuff like that, so you go, okay, yeah, I acknowledge the joke, but be careful of what this person might think about it. And they all know that everybody else's life in the classroom, so, you know, they'll know if someone's mum's, you know, topped herself or something like that. Some of the dark shit these kids go through, oh my God, I can't. I mean, it's part of the more rewarding part of the job is to be able to relate to them on that level, where you've had some dark shit, they've had some dark shit, and you can, you know, get together and, you know, share and support each other sort of thing, because you know they're going through some fucked up things. One of my kids, her mum did hang herself, and she's year 6 now. This was last year, and so she didn't come in for a few days, so we're all like, where's, you know, so-and-so? It's like, where's she going? I was like, and it was one of those Indigenous families, so they just, when they mourn, they just go for a wander for like a week or so. They don't do anything for like, and there's rules like you're not supposed to say the dead person's name or something like that for a month or something like that. I don't know, it's something to do with respect for the dead or something like that, or you don't want the other people to grieve too hard or something like that. It's really considered, actually, if you Google it. I mean, I'm looking at Noongar culture. I don't know what the other Aboriginal cultures do, but this is what apparently Noongar culture does, and they just go for walkabout they have a big family get together, and yeah. So we didn't see her for a week, and we're like, what the fuck happened? Where's she gone? She's just wagging or what? And it turns out her mum had actually topped herself. So now the rest of the class knows, and we know by word of mouth. We don't sit there and gossip. We just sit there and go, okay, so this is something to be considerate of. So when we talk about, like your mama jokes and shit like that, we don't do it around her because we know it's a sensitive topic for her. There are other things, like it's always, topics like drug abuse and things like that. My kids are going through at the moment because their parents are taking them. There's a big hit of meth heads in the area I'm teaching. And so we'll make jokes about drugs because it's all relatable. Everyone can get the joke. I mean, it's a pretty morbid sort of thing given the reality. But my kids are like, hey, your mom's a crackhead. It's like, oh, probably, yeah. It's like, there is that sense of humor. And the kids are using it to deal with the fucked up situation they're in because they know it's not right. They know. I mean, I hope to God they don't actually turn the same way, but there is a chance they might, considering it's considered normal for them. It's not right. But, what can I say? We try and guide them out of that situation as best as possible because we know that it's fucked up and it'll just stuff up their entire life. But we make a joke about it and we say, okay, yeah, but at the end of this, the reality is you're not going to do it yourself, right? It's like, yeah, no. So we use the humor for a lot of things. I mean, people are on the stage at the moment, like celebrities are getting shit for, cancel culture and stuff like that, where you're not allowed to say shit about anything in South Park. And again, I refer to South Park because I love these guys. They've done an amazing thing where it was the COVID lockdown. Honestly, they're getting way better and better every episode they do. The COVID lockdown is like this futuristic version of what the world should be, and nobody's saying mean things to anything because of, it's offensive and everybody's feelings will get hurt. I mean, they should have started that at the start because I know they got in shit right at the start with their career for saying things that weren't great. So they should have done that episode right at the start because it's been an ongoing battle for them, I think. But yeah, where everybody's just saying nice things and everybody's afraid to say anything. It's like, what are they going to do when real shit hits the fan? Like, if we walk into a World War III, and the way Russia's going, fuck's sake. I'm beginning, the more I see it, the more I'm like, I don't think we can fund it. I don't think, anyone's feeling well enough to do it. But at the same time, Putin ain't thinking. So, and he's on his last leg, so he'll go out with a bang. So essentially possible. I don't like it, but it's possible. And when we walk into a World War III, we're not as resilient as we were for World War II because we had a mindset back then of, hard work, determination, get on with it sort of thing. It's like right now we are a bit soft. I can see that. Everybody's they want convenience, they want easiness, they want everything to work now. They want their fast Wi-Fi. Like I want my products on the shelf that I've had for years and I want them now. There's a sense of entitlement. It's like, I deserve this, I want this now. And the reality of the situation is shit hits the fan, World War III. We're not going to get all of that. It's not going to be easy at all. We're going to have people dying more than we did with COVID. We're going to have food stocks that are just disrupted and unavailable. And we're going to have to make do. We're going to have to start MacGyvering our lives. And sense of humor will come into play. It really will, because most of the camaraderie that came from my family came from the East End of London, so most of that shit was banter. It's like, oh, you lost your leg, and kids were playing on bomb sites and things like that during the Second World War. We're going to need that sense of humor. There is no cancel culture at that point. It's like, we're going to need it, because right now by then anything will go. It doesn't matter. It will not matter. It's not a priority to be that PC. I don't think so. And whilst I do agree that, you should be upholding rights of individuals and things like that based on, the merits and values that are in society, I just, sometimes I wonder if they take it too fucking far. I do. It's like, you're not allowed to say that because of this. It's like, if your feelings are that hurt, don't listen. It's like when America started suing McDonald's for making them fat. It doesn't make sense. It's like, you put the food in your mouth. If you don't like what people are saying, don't listen. It's not, yeah, but it hurts my feelings. What are you, like a sadist or something? Don't listen. You listen to this thing knowing that it would hurt your feelings, possibly listening to it, thereby supporting the vehicle in which it was portrayed. So it's like, just cast your vote by not listening, It's like, do you believe this? No, then don't fucking pick it up. Don't expect other people to kowtow to your demands because you're offended. It's not going to work. The majority vote. Maybe things will change, definitely. Things change all the time. And they might argue, yes, if enough of us get upset and say something, it will change. It's like, sometimes, yes. Sometimes the reality of the situation is it won't change. You can't change it sometimes because it's just not the right timing. I'd still maintain in terms of change, it should be down to the individual. We vote with our own, our words, the way we act. We set the mode. We are the model. We are the example. Don't sit there whinging and bitching. Actually change things by your example. If you don't agree with it, don't do it. But no one wants to get preached to. Although there are some people that enjoy it in a weird way. But nobody wants to be told what to do. We're all adults. We all think we're doing the right thing by us and by our families and by society. So as soon as you get someone who abrasively cuts you up and says you're wrong and pulls a Karen, people are going to tell them to fuck off, aren't they? Especially if someone gets a bit preachy. And I know I sometimes get a bit preachy, I bet, probably on these. It's like, I don't think you should. And it's like, well, bearing in mind this is just my bullshit. You don't have to listen to me. Again, you are an adult. You can absolutely turn off and go do your own thing. That's you. I'm not going to make you do anything. I can't make you do anything, to be honest. No one can actually make you do anything. Unless you're a communist dictator. I don't know. But, humans have their own sense of consciousness. You should be following that. What does your conscience say? I mean, we're all taught from birth right and wrong. We are taught from birth. And that's why we have things like guilt. Because if it feels wrong, you're going to feel bad. If it feels right, you're going to feel good. I mean, there is a slight mix-up when people have got chemical imbalance and they start being serial killers and things like that, and it feels good. But generally, on the whole, we have consciences. You should be able to think for yourself. You shouldn't be following someone else's instructions and just taking it for granted. I mean, if you can look at someone's advice and see it as advice and say, these are the good points of this, I like this, I can think this way, this works for me. That's cool. I mean, one of the things my ex-boyfriend had, he couldn't stand my belief system. Not that I was trying to force it on him or anything. Not that I would even talk about it with him. I didn't want to. Because I got that weird thing when my dad was like a berserker because of religion. But I had my beliefs and that was me and I'm good. It's like I didn't try and change his. I'm like, you want to be an atheist? That's you, dude. You go for it. But the fact that he couldn't handle it, and as soon as he could, he would bring it up and start bitching and arguing about it, trying to make me look like an idiot. I just cut off. I'm like, look, I can't handle this level of bigotry. I'm a grown adult. I'm not participating in this. That's you. You can have your beliefs and things. I'm walking the fuck away. It's like, that's you. And it might come across as closed-mindedness, but for me, that is my reality. It's like, I'm cool with this. It sits with me well. I'm not hurting anyone by having these beliefs. I'm not going against any kind of, social norms or values. I'm not breaking any laws. These are my beliefs. I feel them. This is me. And he just couldn't accept that. And every time he got a chance, he'd sit there and have a bitch and a whine about it. And it's like, just stop, dude. Yeah, come on. It's like, it's not up to you to tell me what to believe. He kept saying it was spread of misinformation or some shit like that. I'm going, oh, fuck, dude. No wars were started by tarot cards and crystals. Believe me. I know this shit. I've been observing history for a very long fucking time. It just drives me nuts. Oh, Christ. And he even said my beliefs were like Nazism. And I'm going, okay, you seriously do not know what the fuck Nazism is if you're comparing those two. It drove me nuts. And of course I make jokes about it because I know he's a fucking nutter, but... that kind of shit. But he couldn't even... Like, if someone took the piss out of spiritualism... At the moment, I'm a divinist. That's my belief system. And I'm cool with that because it sits well with me. It's a very peaceable way to approach things as far as I can see. Nobody gets hurt, everybody's getting helped, it's light working, it's basically promoting positivity through helping each other and no one's getting, valuable things taken off them or anything. You don't have to pay for it, it's free, it's just generally being nice and doing the right thing. These were what are things I value of it. You know, it's like Zoroastrianism, where it's like kind words, kind deeds, kind, you know, kind thoughts, kind words, kind deeds. It's like, just be nice, for fuck's sake. But he saw it as such a negative kind of thing. And my dad used to call religion like brainwashing, and I'm sitting going, but it's not hurting anyone as far as I can see. I mean, my mum was signed up Jehovah's Witnesses. She still is. We went for a couple of years because it's like, oh, well, it's at least a moral code that you can stick with, you know. It's like we're teaching them, you know, right and wrong in some way. But I didn't stick with it because it didn't resonate with me. I'm like, okay, these are nice people. I've had nice experiences, but it just doesn't feel right for me, so I'm going to try something else. And I left at my own volition, not because someone made me, not because I had a bad experience, just because it didn't interest me. But my dad, the whole time, was sitting there calling it as brainwashing and a cult and things like that. And I'm sitting there going, you've never even fucking been. And in any case, you're a bigot anyway. So it's like, you hate everyone that's not you. It's like, it's absurd. And yeah, crazy. And these days I joke about religion and stuff like that. Because it's the only way I can deal with the trauma of my dad being a complete an F&C. So, oh my God. Well, we joke. It's great. It's stress relief. I can't believe Chris Rock got slapped. But I like Will Smith. Was it Chris Rock? Yeah, I'd rather it be Chris Brown. Anyway. He's a horrible person. But, you know, Will Smith, yeah. I think he saw his problem with the way he reacted in the end. But you can't make jokes about... I mean, was it picking on Jada Pinkett Smith as an individual? I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and look at the footage, but at the same time, the reaction wasn't great. I mean, I love that he stood up for her. Maybe not the way he did. But yeah, cancel culture is really getting on my ass. You can't have a joke. You can't release some of your own trauma through humor anymore because it might offend someone. I mean, the consolation could be that you know, you say, I'm only joking this way because I feel this way, or because I've done this. But you'd have to say it for every damn joke. It's like, I mean, if you look back at some of the comedians who are saying pretty risky things, it's like they've probably been through it themselves. And so they're using it not only as a way to, you know, make people laugh over these horrible experiences, but also to relieve some of their trauma, some of their tension. Billy Connolly's been through some fucked up examples of experiences. And he talks about working in the docks of Glasgow and things like that because this is where his humour was developed. And it's brilliant because I want that insight into what happens in Glasgow and the docks and things like that. I've never been there. I've been to Glasgow. I know there's a big drug culture there and it's not good for the people, and I really sympathise and feel sorry for them because no one should have to go through that. But he tries to make a joke of it because sometimes it's inescapable. It's like you just don't have a choice and you have to live there because you maybe don't have the money to live. And you're going to be subject to these experiences. And it's not their fault. And it's like, I've lived in a shit area and I've been subject to abuses from the people who were druggies. And it's like, not that I invited these fuckers into my house, but they decided to fucking rob me. And you know, one decided to assault me. And you know, all those experiences. Not that I invite these into my life or active go seeking them. But by using humour or talking to a comedian who has gone through similar experiences, I can relate, and it does alleviate some of my trauma and stress about the situation because you can laugh and have a joke about it. You're like, oh yeah, you bastard, you fucking smacked me around for a bit. Yeah. It sounds horrible because no one should be getting hit. Unless you're paid to do it as a professional fighter. No one should be getting hit. But you laugh about it because you go, oh yeah, I know crackhead families. Yeah, they do that too, yeah. It's relatable. It's trying to communicate experiences that are often traumatic. And nobody feels comfortable talking about it on a serious tone, of course, because we all want to underplay it, because nobody wants to lose face for being seen as weak. So we use humour to help the conversation, and it's okay to do that. But then some fucking idiot stands up and says, I'm offended. It's like, well, that's good. Good. Be offended, because maybe then we can talk about it more comfortably, and it might, you know, wander into the serious note we can talk about it kind of situation, where nobody has to use humour to talk about these topics, because we should be talking about these topics in the first place. I'm offended. Well, fuck off. Sorry. we're all offended. It's like, you just did a rape joke. I'm offended. It's like, well, that's great, because I've actually been raped. So I'm offended too. Fantastic. How are we going to fix this? You're not. You're just going to be offended. Right. Get the fuck out of my room. No. Unless we find a way to fix it, you cannot be offended. No. You can't just be offended and say, oh, this is bad. My feelings are hurt. It's like, if you have also been raped, that's fine. Good. I've got something I can relate to you with. I've been sexually assaulted twice by family members. I've been coercively raped twice. If you want to talk about that, absolutely talk to me about it. Yes, I want to know. I want to know how you feel. If you've had it done to you, definitely. If you don't know what it's about, if you don't know what it feels like, tell me, talk to me. I'll use humor because I know it's a tense topic. It is a hard topic to talk about. Absolutely, I want to know what you feel. Yes. But there you go, I'm offended. And then they leave it there. And it's like, fuck off. I don't care if you're offended. I'm going to talk about it. This is a problem that came up from me. Someone else is going to go through it because we can't stop this shit seemingly. So I'm going to use humor to deflect any kind of pain or trauma associated a little bit. I'm going to alleviate that because it's a tough topic. And they don't recognize, these Karens that get offended, that this is what the comedians are trying to do. So they've chosen hard topics to discuss, and they're trying to use humor to sort of grease the wheel to have this conversation about a hard topic that everyone seems to want to fucking ignore because it's too painful. And it drives me nuts. It really does. That's why I went to Dylan Moran one time, and he said something, one of his lines. Somebody heckled him for it. And he stopped the whole crowd and he said, you can get out. And that was in Perth. And I love Dylan Moran for that, because the whole time I was angry that this asshole stood up. And I'm sitting there going, get out, man. I didn't come here to listen to a fucking idiot. I came here to listen to Dylan Moran tell me about shit he's gone through in a funny way so we can all relate and alleviate our tensions with this. I did not come here for your fucking opinion, otherwise I would have paid for it. You know, it drives you nuts. I'm offended. Fuck off. So, and I admit there are topics that we need to talk about, and yes, we absolutely should be talking about, you know, in a serious way, if we can now. Like, BLM. Yes, I support BLM. I also support, you know, Mexicans' lives matter, not just, you know, African American. I also support, you know, there's a whole world. And they say with that particular movement that it's not just Black Lives Matter, it's, you know, minorities matter. And I'm going, yes, great, okay, so we got the BLM established, yes, in America. Are we now going to help the Mexicans? Because they're refugees at this point. Have you been to Mexico? Have you seen the way they have to live? They jump the border as refugees, I'm telling you. They're not doing it just because they can or they're going to piss off the Texans. They're doing it because they have no better fucking option in their own country to live. They're crossing borders, risking their lives, taking their kids. They need help. Can we recognize them as individuals now? Nah, they're illegal immigrants, kick them back over the border. It's like, no, their lives matter too. And we've got this problem in Australia where it's like boat people's lives and things like that as well. And you're sitting there and think, their lives matter too. So everyone's fucking lives matter. It's like, you can't just pick and choose. Oh my God. I mean, if we're going to switch the code there, are we going to say in Africa that white lives matter? Are they in the majority or the minority? I don't know. I'm going to have to do a head count, but you know, I'm pretty sure in Africa there are a lot of non-white people. I'm just saying. South Africa might be a bit dicey, but you know, I think if we go to Asia, there'll be a lot of non-white people too. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to have to do a head count. But is it in the support of minorities? If that's okay, yes, okay, all right. So we're supporting minorities. Are we not just supporting people that are not being recognized in equality terms? So if you go to any country, that could be anyone. It's like anyone who's not equally represented with the majority populace. That could be Indian people in Africa. I know there's a lot of Indian people there, but they're not on the same par living conditions as everyone else. So do their lives matter? If you go to Asia, there's a lot of white people that aren't recognized as such, you know? it's weird. I mean, what is the basis? It's got to be human rights. Yes. Okay, so if we go to China, what about the people in those concentration camps? What are they? Uyghur refugees. I can't pronounce that properly. It starts with a U. Do their lives matter? Are these the ones we're fighting for as well? I mean, there's so many different facets of things like that that we just need to bring up and talk about. But we use humour to deflect it. Because it's a serious topic. I mean, lives are at stake, of course, and that's the most important thing, really. But we can't handle the seriousness of that as a collective because we're already facing traumas in life, and that's painful enough to deal with that just in the 3D everyday shit. And then you've got historical traumas. You've got, you know, spiritual fucking traumas, things like that. It's crazy. And so we're taking on this big amount of pain, that's stored pain, intergenerational pain. And we're trying to talk about it now, but it's hitting a nerve every fucking time. And we use humor and then we get told off for trying to alleviate the pain. So what do? You don't talk about it, then there's no awareness. You only talk about it in serious note, then it's all pain. You talk about it with humor, you know, it'll get talked about, yes, it's brought to the table, but you get told off for doing it. It just doesn't make sense. You need to find a way to be able to have a sense of humor while you deal with these horrible issues. There are stories about genocide, things like that I've heard on stand-up. I mean, I wouldn't actively make a joke about that because that is painful to me. Not that I support cancel culture, but at the same time, I cannot see a reason to talk about the deaths of babies and things like that. Really. In a way like, I make jokes with my brother. It's like, how do you, oh Christ, this is dark and I will warn you for that. It's like, how do you get 50 babies? You've all heard that. And it involves something like a blender or something like that. And you're going, that's a bit dark, but yeah, you got to alleviate some of the trauma of miscarriage from that. It's like, yes, I can understand why that's funny. You got to understand that people are coming from different cultures and histories and backgrounds and things like that, and that's going to play into what they find funny. So it's part of tolerance as well to understand that people are coming from different backgrounds, and so they've got different forms of humor. What one person finds funny is not going to be funny to someone else, and it's fine. You don't have to get the joke. I mean, there are people who just won't get the joke. It's like, it's not funny. Good, okay, so you don't have to hear it again. I mean, you only heard it the first time on the off chance, so yeah. People are getting too offended these days. You can't even fart without offending someone. I mean, to me, farts are hilarious, but some Karen will say that I've, offended her sensitivities. It's like, the only thing I've offended is possibly your nasal sensitivity, so fuck off. Take everything with a grain of salt. We're trying to be inclusive here. And you can't be inclusive by being exclusive, obviously. You can't say this is okay and this is not okay. Humor is about trying to hit everyone in a way that makes them laugh. The whole premise is to make them laugh. If they don't laugh, that's okay too. Obviously you didn't find that, it didn't resonate with you. That's cool. Different types of people have different senses of humor. I've got a quite varied one. I like that I can get most jokes. I don't like pranks that are violent. Like someone will do like a pain, and it's physically painful, and you go, well, that's just not funny. But I don't stand up and go, I'm offended. I'll say, that's stupid. And I don't, given my background with sexual assault and things like that, I don't find jokes about rape that funny. But I don't, again, say that's offensive. I'm offended. I want this cancelled. I want this show taken off air. I know it's a topic that needs to be discussed, and we make jokes about it, but I tell you what, the more outlandish the joke, the more people are going to talk about it, and they might want to do their own research about what's going on with it. It's to get the attention. You get the attention with the joke, it seems dark, then people start thinking, start talking, and then they're going to go look at what the topic is. Hopefully, not just go, I'm offended, and then fuck off. Hopefully, right? Start thinking for yourself. Look at it critically. What are they trying to tell us by bringing this topic up at all? Because they could be talking about fucking anything. Any topic is humorable. if that is a word. You can find humour in fucking anything. Why are they bringing up or choosing to bring up this particular topic? What's the background to it? What's the motive? Look at it critically. Is there a reason? Maybe it's a relevant topic. Maybe we need to talk about it more. Maybe we need to find some more facets to discuss about this thing that no one seems to want to talk about. But we can do it with jokes. Maybe that's it. And anyways, I'm coming to the end of my bullshit right now. And I know I do tangent bullshit sometimes, most times, I don't know. But I'm coming up to work now because I have to pull in and I have to go teach some kids. So I don't even know what I'm doing today because they give me what my job is on the day. Perks of relief teaching. You turn up and you get paid. That's what I'm seeing it as. That's what I've reasoned it as. So, humour is a godsend. It is a blessing. The second you start using cancel culture and telling people your sense of humour is wrong, you're slapping the divine in the face. You really need to find a way, even if you don't have that sense of humour, to just let it go, man. Do I have to sing the song? Fuck. Just let it go. People are different. People have their own version of what's funny. You can absolutely have a sense of humour which relates to one type of humour and not the other. It's not your job to get all the jokes. It is your job to be tolerant of other people's sense of humour and to allow people to, speak out on things that they're, that are particular to them. If I don't get offended by a lot of shit because I know that someone has gone through it somewhere in their life and they're using humour to deflect pain and trauma, and they're trying to discuss something that hurt them maybe or means something to them. I mean, a lot of jokes about, dead mums and things like that I can relate to, so things like that. I don't say I'm offended and I storm off and have a tanty. It's like, what adult at this age has a fucking tanty? I'm offended. Good. Talk about it. Discuss it. Add it to the mirage and collage of experiences that we're all going through. It's like, no, my mum is not dead, but I can relate to a lot of kids that have gone through it. But it's, use humour. I mean, it's a blessing. It's a tool, it's a blessing, it's a means of creating cohesion. That's what we should be taking away from that, right? It's Friday. I hope you have a great day. Find something funny to laugh at. Find funny in the pain, if you can. A lot of people thinking, oh my God, I'm just exhausted and I just want to get home. Take it easy and I'll see you on Monday, most possibly.
So space, night, death, darkness, not being there is an essential component of being there. You don't have the one without the other.